Hello, everybody. How are you today? Well, welcome. I know I normally don't go live at 1:30 in the afternoon, but we're gonna start this day off with some information that I don't know, I kind of had on my heart, and I really wanted to get out there. So I had asked my business partner and a friend, as well as my mentor, to hop on here today, and we're just gonna have a short little conversation about a couple of things that I think is going to be great to get out there. So if you're listening right now and you're with me, say hello. If you're watching on the replay, definitely just type replay. Let me know that you saw it and have been part of this. So I'm just waiting for Rick Gutman to hop on, and as soon as he's here, I will be able to get this started. So guys, if you're with me, just say hello, so I know that this is up, running, and active. Okay, so I see Lori. I see your name popping up. Let me know if you can hear me, Lori, so we know that we are running smoothly. And so, guys, I'm excited to have this conversation. It was very impromptu. I reached out to Rick this morning and said, hey, what do you think about hopping on? And, he was more than happy to do so. So I'm just waiting for him to come on here. And, oh, awesome, Lori. Thank you very much. So as soon as Rick hops on, I will bring him in. But in the meanwhile, this is a gentleman that has a resume that is beyond appealing to many. It intrigues me to recognize how much he has done, not only in his life, but for others. A very giving man. And so, oh, great. Rick is here. So I'm going to bring him on and we're going to get started. All right, it says it's adding. So as soon as we get him on here, we will get this party started. I'm excited to have him and talk with him this afternoon. So here we go. There we go.
Yo, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Good to see you. We had a
Thank you.
long day talking yesterday, didn't we, with everyone?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I just felt like I couldn't get enough, so I figured I'd bring you on some more.
I know, exactly.
I hope I didn't take you away from the beach time or anything.
No, no, no. It's all working, getting ready for our event right now, so
Awesome.
we
Awesome.
are good.
So Rick, I want to dive into a couple of things. Most of my networkers already heard your background, your story behind everything, but I want to just dive right into being part of network marketing. But I want to dive into like two separate things. I want to talk about the strengths that people need to be part of network marketing. I feel like there's things that people don't really see or recognize, and I was one of them. So when I say people, I include myself, because I remember the first time I heard about strengths, and the very first time that you talked about it, I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a strong individual, like I got
Yeah.
almost defensive of it. And then it wasn't until I really dove into a whole lot of what you train on that I recognized that I really was not as strong as I thought I was in certain aspects. So I want to just kind of, I have the strengths over here next to me. you know I want to dive into one called accountability. you know People think they're accountable, but I'm finding that some people are only accountable to a certain degree. So would you
Yeah.
mind diving in a little bit deeper into what it means to be accountable within, well, not just the network marketing space, but life in general?
I mean, accountability is an entire scope of more than what people think. When a person says, are you accountable, or they make themselves accountable, many times it's in one area, one lane of accountability to maybe a person that is teaching them, or helping them, or guiding them. But accountability, bleeds into many different areas, starting with keeping yourself accountable, right? And when you
Hmm.
keep yourself accountable, there are you you there's a humility found in accountability that is either there on a scale of 1 to 10, and it's kind of in that, right? So an extremely accountable person is also an extremely humble person in their approach to who they're accountable to. In other words, they are completely open to the guidance, the advice, um, the criticisms of the person that they are allowing to speak into their life. And on a scale of 1 to 10, if they're just a one, then as soon as it gets a little bit tough, or they feel like that person that's teaching them is getting a little too close to their character issues or integrity issues, or that have not served them very well, or habits that have caused them to struggle in life, unhealthy habits, they immediately reject it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if they're a 3, a little bit more, and you know what I'm saying, you want them to be at a 10 in that level of humility, in accountability, in order for you to get the most from the person that's teaching you,
Right.
right? And in that process, I don't think it's just in one area or just one person. I think you make yourself accountable to yourself, accountable to God, accountable to your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Accountable to your dream and the goals that you want. And this person in your life, or whoever that is they get to speak into those areas where you have allowed them just to fillet you like a fish, and go, okay, what about this right here, right?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
those limitations that you're talking about are always found in the difference between maybe a 3 and their ability to be humble in that, and then there's 7 other numbers that are missing there, that
Right.
they won't let you go any further, because once you get to that point where they're totally free to let you talk about certain things, but then when you get that nerve, that one thing that could really be the whole thing, that is um, that is the deciding factor for them to have breakthrough. If they reject or hold on to it with pride or ego, or an unwillingness to let that go, they'll just walk away.
Right. Right.
I've seen
And
it
I know
happen.
many who have because they can't get past some things. But I'm finding that's a combination, like it's an assortment of different things. When I realize people walk away, they won't let something really get deep, like you said. And if they won't let that in and have their faith in the right direction, it's hard to just release, right? It's hard to just release. Let's talk about vision. I find people my age either don't understand the word vision or have just lost seeing outside of their 9 to 5 or their regular worlds. Vision. I'm finding that it's becoming like a word that is almost never used anymore in amongst people in the regular workforce. So let's dive into that.
Yeah. When I think about goals and I think about vision, and the definition that comes to mind is, they're very different. They're not the
Mm-hmm.
same, right? Like, you
Right.
can have a goal to get, a pay raise, or a goal to get a certain position working for somebody else, or other goals, fitness goals, health goals, whatever those goals are. But vision is something that's on a much larger scale. It's like vision peaks over the mountains of of obstacles that are standing in your way, and sees beyond that. It sees, it identifies the circumstances that could be holding you back. However, you can see over them, you can see breakthrough in a chapter of your life that's ahead that you may not be experiencing right now. And so vision is something that it's much on a much larger scale, to where it begins to, that root of it is that idea that started it, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's an inspiration that makes you want it, and then a motivation to go out and do it, and then a revealing happens, right? A revelation, a drawing back of the curtain
Mm-hmm.
to where you begin to see that vision beyond everything else. And it is, that is the number one characteristic that needs to be in place when you want to do something really significant in your life. You need to have that vision. Man perishes without vision, right?
Mm.
And so you need that vision, and you need that knowledge, and you need that wisdom, and you need to be able to visit a place in the future that you're not quite tasting right now. It's such a beautiful imagination of the future and what you see with the eyes of your heart, not your natural eyes, but the eyes of your heart, to where it
Right.
just becomes so relentless that even though you're in these present circumstances, you're driven by a much grander plane of sight, an entire landscape of where you're going, what it's going to be like. You can taste it even though you're not quite there,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can feel it even though it's in a place in the future. It can change your emotions and your present circumstances. It can give you hope and faith and strength and victory in a place where you actually feel imprisoned, right? You could
Mm-hmm.
reign even though you're in a cell in your mind through your vision. And we see that happen all the time when people do great things and build great companies and do great exploits. You can't do it without vision. It
Right.
is a very large scope landscape of the the whole dream, the whole package.
Right. I love it. So I'm going to do two more, and then we're going to go on to another topic. This one is near and dear to my heart. The word loyalty. I feel it's been a struggle for many people lately, and they're wishy-washy, or if somebody really stands their ground, it's like all of a sudden they're totally off into another direction because they get that fear, they get that, you know they just can't stand up. Like, it's like that, what is it, that song, stand up for something or stand for nothing at all, right? So, like,
Yeah,
what is it like, where do people gain, how do people get that strength to be as strong as someone such as yourself?
gratitude, gratitude. You know, when you're grateful for the relationship, or you're grateful for the teaching or the training, or you're grateful for whatever it is that makes you loyal to that thing or that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's gratitude. Where there's a lack of gratitude, you will find a lack of loyalty, because gratitude equals value. So the more grateful you are to something, the more value you put on it. The less grateful you are, the less value that you put on it. And when you don't have either one of those, then it's easy to walk away from it, because
Right.
there was never any real thanksgiving for what is being given or what was given.
Right.
I mean, I see it in the same way I made the last illustration, as on a scale of 1 to 10. Everybody seems to have, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extremely loyal. You will always find extreme gratitude in extreme loyalty, but
Mm-hmm.
you'll find no gratitude in with a person that has no loyalty. So is there a scale between them, like from a scale to 1 to 10? Yeah, and everyone has that limitation to where they're grateful and they're loyal to a certain place, and then they hit that threshold, and that's it. Usually what happens in what I've seen in my career and mentoring people for many years, 3 decades I've mentored people, not just in the network marketing space, but is where is where they become very capable of doing the things that they've learned from a teacher or a mentor, and they were very thankful in the beginning as they were learning, but as soon as they began to taste victory and success, the ego started to come in, and their mind and other people begin to talk to them, and they start listening to the noise of,
Mm.
I don't, I did this, and I don't need the guidance anymore. And instead of being grateful and saying, I'm going to thank you for everything that you taught me, I'm going to go in this direction now, most of the time, because they know they're wrong, they develop a file in their mind of disparagement to justify their ungratefulness, that lack of gratitude, and that lack of loyalty. And it's funny how you can see the threshold of when people are still learning. Like they say, a friend in need is a friend indeed. But as soon as they start tasting the victory and need less of the guidance, they begin to change. The mentorship doesn't change.
Right.
The person changes, you know.
Yeah. And that's
And so,
powerful.
mhm,
That's
and
powerful.
so it's sad to see because, you know, mentorship is, depending on the capacity of the person that's teaching, because of all their experiences, there are things that the mentor still wants to teach that protege long after they've had success. They just can't teach them things that they haven't experienced yet. So anything that they talk about will go over their head. And so if I can give an illustration, it would be like, you know, if you're in chapter 3 of a book and the mentor wants to talk to you and teach you about chapter 73, you won't know anything. The protege won't know anything that they're even talking about. They can't get there until they get to chapter 73 in order for them to be experienced enough and open enough to learn that lesson. And so what happens is the mentor mentee relationship gets cut short, and the only loser ends up being the person that walked away because there was so much more depth that they could have learned along the way. And so what happens is they expose themselves to things that are bigger than themselves. And now they have to learn all these additional lessons in
Mm.
this particular chapter and the chapters ahead that really could have been, much easier for them, but even more protected. There would have been a protection around them and a blessing that's around them, because there's an honor that comes with um, being loyal. There's rewards that come from being loyal that can't be taught.
Right.
They have to be experienced.
Right. I find that loyalty follows another thing as well. And I'm going to talk about this. And you can take this as deep as you want, since we're on my Facebook page. You have all the right to talk about whatever and however deep you want to get. Spirituality. I, for myself, can speak on my behalf that I always thought I had a decent relationship, right, with God. I felt like I was okay, but I remember getting to a point where when my health really started to spiral and I was fighting the fight even harder, and I got to a point one day and I said to you, Rick, I need something. I don't quite have that relationship that I need, that I know there's more to this, but something was either holding me back or whatever the situation was at the time. When I was diagnosed with my hands, I was basically begging for a conversation with God, right? Like I turned into a whole different individual when it came to my desire. I'm starting to get emotional. I'm sorry. When it came to my desire to have that relationship. So I find now that in business, in my personal life, my whole family's paying attention. But now in business, I'm connecting even deeper with so many of my team that didn't know where my level of spirituality was so they wouldn't cross a certain line. So so let's dive into that, and if you could take something from that and go with it.
Well, you know, religion is man's pursuit of God, and relationship is God's pursuit of man. And God desires to be again one with his creation, because there was no higher creation that he made other than mankind being the image of himself. And that restoration between God and man has always been there since the fall of Adam and Eve, right? And so he pursues and he pursues and he pursues, and he allows certain things to take place in a person's life to get them to a place where they can realize that they need their father. They need they need they need guidance, they need peace in the chaos, they need meaning, they need life. And he's the father of life, he's the father of light, and he carries both. He is the source of all life. And so when we run into certain issues and life becomes very, very serious very quickly, like a health problem, you know, many people, maybe even I would say most people, will be open or turn to God because the pain is so deep, or the anxiety or the depression is so deep, that they need a touch on a spiritual level that is higher than their being. They know that they need something. And so when a person is at that place, it creates beautiful opportunity for God to show you that he's a loving father and give you peace in places that you've never had before, and give you hope and faith in areas you never had before. And then through that comes a beautiful relationship where you now are sharing your thoughts and you start walking in oneness with him. And when you walk in oneness with him, doesn't matter how great the chaos is around you, if your oneness with him is absolute, let's just say again, I love the scale of 1 to 10. If it's 10 being the absolute oneness with him, a willingness to just be on your knees and to read his word and to pray and to meditate on his word and to have conversation with him and stick around to hear the thoughts and the ideas and the comfort that he gives to you, you will be in peace no matter what the situation is, because that's his promise, right? The peace that surpasses all understanding, the scripture says. And so when you operate on a scale like that, and God begins to change your heart, and the characteristics that you used to have begin to fall, become more integrous, right? And the things that used to hold you back, you let go of, and the things that used to have so much meaning in your life, you need less of, because he becomes that pearl of great price, where you can see that anything you may have is just either a place you live, or a car you drive, or a jet you may have just for enjoyment, or whatever that is. But nothing even comes close to the relationship with him, that he remains, and that only comes from oneness with him. And so as that begins to live and breathe more and more on the inside of you, what happens is you start loving other people more than you did before. You start caring more about other people more. You realize that your life has much more meaning than you ever thought before, and you have the ability to speak into people's lives, and to raise them up, and to inspire them, to have what you have, which is a relationship with the Lord, and you become a more caring person because what's happening is you're taking on the characteristics of your Father. And then with that becomes blessings for your enjoyment, right? Because the more you are one with him, the more he can trust you with things that would otherwise destroy you, right? He says, have no God before me. So when your relationship is weaker, he tends not to just give you a bunch of amazing things because he knows that he has to temper it because it could take your eyes off of your relationship with him, which he knows better than you do how much you need that in your life and your family and the people around you and the call and the purpose and the destiny on your life. You have great need of that because we can do nothing without him that is heavenly, right? And
Mm.
so as that oneness gets stronger and over time, he starts trusting you with more things that you now can handle that won't interfere, won't be distraction, and won't be idols in your life. And the more you give yourself over to that, the more he, as a loving father, wants to give you everything.
Amen. I I I
That's the
wanted to
truth.
touch on this because I think there's many people out there that are like me, right? So, like you had said, so I felt it was necessary to bring that topic up because a lot of people are seeing my shift, seeing that I've been different, and
Right.
recognizing it almost immediately in my behaviors and such. So I appreciate you being so open to talk about that here. And I know that, we keep some of that stuff separate as far as business is concerned. Um, but I think some of these things are holding some people back in their own businesses, whether it's in my team and network marketing or outside. And things have gotten a little bit lost in the world. So anyway, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I also want to give just a little bit of a shout out there to Courtney because she was a huge instrument from my side of that as well. So let's go on to a little bit more. So many people already know, they know about my disease that I was diagnosed with. But I claim every day that I am healed. Like I'm claiming it and no one's taking that from me. So what I want to talk about is you made an awesome announcement yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago. I can't remember the days we're starting together. Uh, but it was about health. And you have been an incredible guidance for me to begin to take the inflammation from my body to the point where I can use my hands on a daily basis, with minimal flare up at this point. And and I want you to share a little bit more about where your vision is for Overcome Nation and within the network marketing space, but adding the health side of it.
Sure. Well, the one thing that we do in our organization that no other organizations are doing that I'm aware of in the entire industry is to take the mechanics of a very simple building system in network marketing and wrapping it in a wealth development program that leads with financial education, but doesn't stop there. It's a very robust program that teaches people everything that they need to know to think and become an entrepreneur through teaching and experience. And those are all of the things that are not necessarily um, critical for a person to have success in network marketing. It's just added value because the heart of Overcome Nation is not just to teach you how to build a big business, but to make you even more successful outside of network marketing in your additional endeavors of big business to where network marketing is just an arm of success. It's a river of income for you. But now you've learned the keys to wealth, and now you know how things work. And so you are able to become very cash flow um, solvent in many areas of business. So in the area of what we do in a product driven network marketing company, our products are amazing. Paseo has phenomenal products that give very high absorption, 80 to 100%. um, what we've done there is taken those products and wrapped them in a health development program. So we have a wealth development program that wraps a system of duplication, and then now we have a health development program that wraps the products to make those products work better and to help people to understand the language of food, the language of water, the language of the body, to where you know how to keep it clean, keep it alkaline, which is getting it out of being acidic, where all sickness and disease comes from, and bringing it into an alkaline state, and where it can function and be free because it's so loaded with oxygen, and no sickness and disease can live in an oxygenated body. And so to correct that, you want to understand, the water you're drinking, which is the most important because you need to be hydrated, and you need to know what waters are toxic and what containers are toxic, and you need to know what you should be drinking so you're actually hydrating the cell, right? And then from there to understand how to cleanse your body and keep your food tubes clean, keep your organs clean, keep your blood clean. And you do that through detoxification. And at the same time, understanding the power of enzymes and why you need them in your stomach, and the slowdown of eating so much cooked food because nothing dead brings life, and the introduction of consuming raw whole foods that actually have life, right? We are
Mm-hmm.
electric beings where our body has current. We should be, and so when your body's alive, there's current going through it. There's frequency going through it. Food has, when it's alive, has frequency. Food, when it's alive, sustains life. And so raw whole foods that are not cooked, uh, many of them, knowing which ones, but they will continue to bring electric nutrition, is what I would call it. So now any products that you are consuming will work even better because your food tubes are clean, your blood's clean, and all that. So taking your body from a toxic, acidic state is enormously important if you want to for better health. And if your body stays acidic and you start getting older and older, those conditions that were slight become more and more evident and more critical in
Right.
the lifespan of a human being. And so I find accountability in that to my team to enrich them in the understanding of of what to do, how to do it, and how to rejuvenate the body through the language of 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 detox and rejuvenation.
Well, I've been on the other side since you've been starting this journey, and just the things that you have, kind of shouted out to me, like, "Hey, pay attention to this," has been, eternally grateful is not even like the definition I could give to you. It has, you know, the the disease itself, when it started to take over, was literally handicapping my ability to do anything. And I remember that moment of feeling like, oh my goodness, is this it? Like, is this where life is going to stop? But with the Overcome Nation team, you and everyone that is so tight into your huddle, and those of us who are extremely loyal, I benefited from knowledge, from prayer, from all of it. And I can't ever thank you enough for what you've created within Overcome Nation. I'm grateful for myself, but I'm grateful also for the entire team that they have access to a man like you, that they have access to someone who has never wavered on their word, never wavered on when you say you're going to do something, you have done it. You have never wavered on ever looking out for your team as your first priority. So I'm sure I can
Thank you.
speak for probably the entire team here that we are all grateful for that. Um,
Thank you for saying that.
you're welcome. So anyway, so let's wrap this up. I've kept you already for a little over a half hour. I'm going to California again. I never
So
thought
good.
I'd travel back and forth like this.
Yeah.
Um, so what can people, if I said to people, come on, let's go to California September 10th, what can they expect from that event?
Well, it'll be, kingdom. When I think of kingdom, it's really about systems of government in what it is you are wanting to accomplish, right? And in Overcome Nation, our overall goal is to make as many people as we can healthy, wealthy, and wise. Healthy, wealthy, and wise. And so we've been able to make people wealthy, and we've been able to make people wise. But in the next event, where we'll always cover those other two, but we're going to primarily drive into that area of healthy, of health, and breaking it down, and helping people to understand that side that is of life that people have not understood, because people trust the water they drink, they trust the
Mhm.
food that they eat, and they trust the air that they're breathing, and we're getting poisoned by all of it, right? And that is not conspiracy. That is actually, you know, in a country that's highly commercialized, and the need to produce food rapidly,
Mhm.
and to protect food, and to protect, water, and to the best of their ability, they've had to introduce things to it, and in the air that has the end result has not been good for a person's health. And
Right.
so a lot of trusting people out there, they just think, well, it's all right. It hasn't, my grandfather, made it, I'll make it too. And, and they have that old thing, but to understand that we are living in a different time that has never been seen before. We're further down the
Right.
line in areas of pollution of every kind. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's important for us to have the education and the insight to be able to protect our bodies and protect our immune systems by eating the right food and doing all those things. So that'll be one major category. We'll unravel or unfold um, uh, the Overcome Nation health arm, and really make that a significant driver. And I think it'll definitely help a tremendous amount in the brand partners,
Mm-hmm.
the slash business owners,
Right.
that are wanting to communicate the amazing products that we do have in Viseo, and to be able to not just communicate it through their language of understanding, but through their language of experience,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to really better absorb, because
Yes.
the truth is, if a person is all backed up in their system, and their food tubes are all clogged up, right? Which most people are carrying an extra 20 pounds of undigested food in their tubes, almost every single person, right? Unless they are detoxing like over
Right.
great deals of time, that's happening. So those types of people, no matter how great your products are, they're not absorbing it because their bodies are toxic and lined with everything that is blocking it,
Right.
including, parasites that are there as well. So this will be a wonderful tool of understanding for people to better qualify, better communicate through their body language, through their experiences, and their understanding the beautiful, products that we have in the sale. It will
Mm.
only empower them to be able to communicate things better because a lot of people are more in touch or or than, in their health today than they ever have been,
Right.
because we're seeing a lot of people that are dying quickly right now, and it's scaring a lot of people, and they want to
Yes.
know what to do to protect themselves in the area of their health and especially in their wealth too. And so to me, it's just a 1-2 punch. So on the wealth side, we'll have, speakers come in that will help people to understand the how to strategize their holdings and understanding big picture stuff when it comes to building wealth in their life and how to put structure into what it means to become wealthy and to protect what you have. So my approach here overall is to show people how to generate income, how to multiply income, how to protect income, and how to manage income. Those four are deeply uh, valuable in the area of both wealth and health,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's going to be unlike anything that um, we've done, and we've done that on purpose. So if you've
Yeah.
noticed, I've always said every event it's going to be unlike. That's because it's a progression. We went from Dominion life
Mm-hmm.
and really helping people to understand what it means to have a Dominion life to reign, which is what it means to actually go out in the marketplace and into war in the
Right.
marketplace, and then into kingdom, right? So kingdom is really that system of government in a person's life, and our overall mission for Overcome Nation, it has a mission, right? And so a man's home or a woman's home is their castle. And if they run their life like you would run a healthy business, you'd see a lot more healthy, wealthy, and wise people
Yes.
because, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so at the end of the day, every person has their own castle, their own system of government that needs to be in place, infrastructure in their life to lead a happy, healthy, prosperous, victorious life, and kingdom. I'm praying, believing, and working towards delivering all of that at this event. And that's an event that it's extraordinary. I've never seen an event out there, even in traditional business. You won't find Gary Vee doing this stuff. You won't find Grant Cardone or Ty Lopez or Eric Thomas. You won't find Tony Robbins. You won't find any of these people doing something that is a complete, well-rounded event like this anywhere, especially in the network marketing space.
Right.
And the other thing I would say is that, to the people that are out there that would say none of this is necessary to build a large team in network marketing, and I would say you're correct, but I'm not only interested in giving people a bunch of money. I want them
Right.
to live long. I want them to prosper. I want them to be in good. I want them to be to understand how to maintain a healthy kingdom life. And that is something that people cannot pay for.
Right.
That is something of value that I get to impart to my team because they're my extended family. And so this is stuff that I could charge a great deal of money outside of network marketing. I don't have to do this, but I choose to do it because if I'm going to do this, I want to do something of the best of my ability. And I know what people have need of because I have an extraordinary life and I want them to have it too. And so if it costs me a lot more time to give people a lot more value, it brings more meaning to my life because to me it's an eternal approach that makes my life meaningful. I'm not just working for the marketplace here. I'm working
Yeah.
for eternity. I want to store up treasure in heaven, and the more people I can impact through kingdom principles and godly principles and relationship with God principles, the greater my treasure is in heaven, the bigger my house is in heaven.
It's gonna have a beautiful surroundings.
Yeah.
um, Rick, I thank you for all that, and I can attest to um, having all the fruits of your drive, everything that you want your team to have. I have benefited from. My husband has definitely benefited from. He's a changed man these days. Um, and my daughter has been, you know, what did Rick say? What did Courtney say? So everything that you have said you were going to do, you have done, you have delivered. And I personally can attest to receiving all of it. And like I said earlier, just eternally grateful for the man you've become in this life for all of
Oh,
us.
thank
So
you.
you're welcome. So I will see you in September or January, February. I'm not really sure.
Yep.
But I might just come
Indeed.
anyway.
Yeah. Good.
But I'll
You're
definitely
always
be there in
welcome here.
September. And thank you. Thank you for taking the time on such short notice to jump on here and talk with me and my network. I appreciate
Problem.
it.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, for sure. Have a
Absolutely.
great day. I love you. Say hi to Frank
Thanks. I
and tell him
will.
I
Love
love
you
him
too.
too.
I
And
will.
I will see you soon.
I will. Sounds good, Rick.
All
Thanks
right.
so much.
All right.
All
Okay.
right. Bye,
Bye.
hon.